Yeah, I'll try. Okay, I think I have all my technology muted, so I don't have right now.
I'm glad you said that.
Do you know how many unless there are?
There are supposed to be 17.
Math, 6 through 12, September 22nd, a.m.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It is great. And there will be a total of 17 of us. And possibly the first day or two, you could make a smaller group. And then in the next work sessions, a larger group. Some had to do with time notification. And so, anytime you start something new, things get a little confusing every once in a while. So we've had just a little bit of confusion, but we will get everything lined out so that we'll have a full board group, I would say, in the next 2 work days. So we're working through this, and that will give us time to kind of establish the work protocol and kind of how we're going to get this business done. It is only 9, so there may be a few more in. But as far as the list I have, I think this might be our group. What do you think? All right, 9 o'clock, so we need to begin. And the technology, today is the only day we really have a PowerPoint. And they have me a timeline and everything, so I'm going to tell you that I'm going to leave the notes up because we're going to go through this as the notes are set. So that is my intent, but we are beginning and we are secondary math, which all of you are familiar with. Secondary math, and we will be going through the expectations and seeing, I have timelines on how long it's supposed to take on each item. And then, thank you for lending your expertise. So hopefully, we will have some great discussion, or you will have great discussion. I am the facilitator, so I am not part of the discussion, but will facilitate the conversation. And
A question. Sharp is.
what a great question. Oh, I probably touched it. What a great question.
I'll ask that.
What do you think? What do you think?
Last time.
All right.
I thought that was.
We can make adjustments as needed, so
Thank you very much.
absolutely, anytime. And I haven't introduced yet because I think the next slide says introduction. Oh, no, it says facilities.
More important thing.
Absolutely. Restrooms are right through these doors, and just right over here. Not far. Sign-in sheets, I'll pass those around here in a moment. We need to sign in so that we keep record of who is in our meetings. And then lunch tickets. Now, I'll be honest, a lot of facilitators are going to wait, but I have lunch tickets. They have your name on them. And there are specific guidelines. I'm going to do this now because by the time we get there, I'll forget. And I just simply copied you the guidelines so that you will know how it works and so that we're all on the same page. Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
Doing well.
When you figured out we walked in on the 3rd floor.
I know, I didn't have to even, I did not do it.
Tina Walden.
Yeah.
Ann, nice to meet you. And you're an appointee?
Yes.
All right.
Perfect.
Rick, nice to meet you.
Ray Schultz.
We are thrilled that you're in. Are all of you appointees?
Yes, I am.
All right. Right here at the table, and Karen will give you a name tag. We had you in the wrong room. Is that what we've done? Because we're thrilled you're here.
I came from Warsaw. I've never been here before. It took me a while to find where I needed to go.
It happens. It does. And actually perfect timing because I am just handing out information about lunch. So I'm going to put this here. This is kind of, and we're going to talk about this, but it's kind of nice to have that in your hands, I think.
Are you an appointee also?
Employee, no, I am the facilitator.
Oh,
I am
okay.
the third-party facilitator, and actually our next slide is introductions. So see, you guys are on perfect timing. Perfect timing. Might want to ease up just a little closer, if you don't mind. We're not sure how big a group we're going to take today. Did I give everybody military information? And as far as the meal tickets, we were talking about the restrooms. Restrooms are right through here. And then sign-in sheets, and we'll get a sign-in sheet going around here pretty quick. Lunch tickets, there are guidelines. Desi provides lunch, but it's a $9 lunch limit. Our lunch is at the Heritage Cafe, which is right down the hill at the Jefferson Building. And we're happy to walk with you if you don't know where it is. We have thought like it would be a working lunch, that we would get our lunch and come back and eat lunch together. When we do that, we're still going to take a regular lunch. I was taught not to eat with my mouth. I taught with my mouth. So we're going to take regular lunch. But we will get everyone to the lunch space. And then the lunch tickets actually have your name on them. And according to the information I read, you can have lunch more than $9, but if you get more than $9, you have to pay. And if they only, I think they only take cash. Just an FYI. But the cafeteria is right here at the bottom of the hill. Okay? Shall we pass these around and everyone get their lunch ticket now, or you want to wait till lunch? All right, first you want to I think we're going to do it now, maybe because if somebody doesn't have a lunch ticket, we want to make sure they have time to give them a lunch ticket. So I'm just going to pass the envelope and let you get the one that have names on it. So you want to get the one with your name on it. And that is your lunch ticket for the staff. Or we're 11:30. They might be in alphabetical order. Thank you very much. And as far as breaks, I prefer to take a break every hour to hour and 15 minutes. Are you guys good with that? Stand up, stretch, restroom break. We can do that, or we can take, they say, we don't take breaks, and everyone just takes a break as needed. Any particular thoughts on that?
As needed.
You're what?
As needed.
As needed. Always as needed. But every once in a while, we may just need to stand up and stretch a break. So we'll kind of see where we are in the work session. And then smokers. And I have to admit, when they gave me this, I said, what is that? It's a non-smoking building. You have to smoke outside. So that is, those are the instructions I was given. Any questions about just the logistics? And then we are to, who are we? And someone asked, basically, I am the facilitator. I am Tina Woolsey, and I do not work for Desi. I work for a nonprofit, non-governmental organization that credits school on a voluntary basis. And I'm a facilitator who facilitates groups from time to time for other organizations. Yes, ma'am.
I was assuming that one's name is on here, one's name on it.
Is there a blank one?
There are a number of blank ones in here, and my name is on it.
And that is wonderful. I think that's a great thought. I'm glad to know there are blank ones in here. Also in the room, we have a recorder and we have, my mind went blank, a note taker, recorder and a note taker. And I will ask that the recorder and the notator stand and introduce yourself.
I'm Karen Pace, and I teach math at Salem Quarry.
And I'm Jay Roth, I'm Director at Curriculum and Instruction at Lebanon Public Schools.
Thank you. And then, this is an open meeting, so we may have observers. And our observers can observe the meeting, but they are not participants in the meeting. Those of you that are appointees, you are the people who will be doing the work. The rest of us are facilitating that work or observing that work or reporting. And that being said, the appointees, if you don't mind, Nancy, we'll start with you and go around and you would introduce yourself and tell them what you do, and that'd be great.
My name is Nancy Burkveld. I am a board member for Northwest Arlen School District. I have taught, did teach math, 31 years full-time, and I retired from the Fort Sumach School District where I was a math teacher, department chair, and curriculum coordinator. Had quite a history with the math assessment, and then when I retired, I started teaching part-time. I taught intervention classes at the Valley Park School District in St. Louis County. I also served as the chairperson. That's okay. I served as the chairperson of for the Missouri Council of Teachers of Mathematics to Professional Development, and have done some work for Smart Balance for 3 years.
My name is Kathy Batts, and I taught high school math for 31 years. I retired from the Lee Summit School District. I was a 7 through 12 math specialist there for a number of years. Some of the roles that I've had is I also have done our work with NCTN, a past president of NCTN. Have done work with the writing of the GLEs as well as the implementation of the GLEs and CLEs a number of years ago. And currently, after I quit teaching, I'm just working to teach the kids. And so now I work with the Kansas City Regional Professional Development Center, and I work with teachers pretty much on a daily basis in classrooms, and I work as the math consultant all along and in other areas as well.
Okay. My name is Ann Bassel. I'm a stay-at-home mom. I have 2 children in the Rockford School District and in public school their actual career. And so my son's now a senior in high school, and I'm passionate about education and about making sure they're doing right thing for our kids. I'm Megan Schmitz. I have a 16-year-old daughter, and I have been teaching math for the past 30 years, basically. For the most part at college level, but I actually taught 7 to 12.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear your first name.
Right.
Thank you.
I'm David Richner. I've had a construction business for several years. I've taught drafting, CAD, building construction, math, high school math. Currently I teach integrated academics, which is math, physics, and commerce at the Career Center. I also teach adjunct at State Grade Community College, math and physics. I've done some work with MCC, with math and career ed. Then we have 4 children, high school, or college, high school, middle school, elementary. My wife and I.
Okay, thank you. I'm Lisa Jones. I'm a math teacher at Francis School District. I grew up in the small town of Buffalo, Missouri, in southern Missouri. And moved to St. Louis in 1984. I've been teaching for 24 years. And I currently teach calculus and arithmetic.
I'm Dr. Frederick Deco, PhD in physical chemistry, so a pretty good math background. I was in industry for a number of years, CEO of 4 different biotech technology companies, and I've gotten back to teaching again. I've done that both in the college and high school and pre-high school level for a number of years. I was an adjunct professor for Rhode Island, University of Rhode Island, and then also at Iowa State. And now I'm with Ava Victory Academy.
Okay, thank you. I'm Julie Francesca. I've been teaching math in Missouri since 1981 when I got my master's degree in math. A lot of that teaching has been at different colleges and universities around in the city area, including several years school of Fine and Brockers. I teach calculus, and right now I'm teaching high school pre-calc out of the 2 honors in physics. I taught everything in high school from algebra 1, geometry, senior public service math class for kids who were rather not in school, where they required 4 years. I've seen about everything you can see at the high school level. I taught at community college. I've done all of the types of classes that they offer there, and also in regular 4-year school. I also have 4 children, 2 of whom graduated from Missouri Public High Schools, and 2 of them not yet. So they are in, and they go to school. We live in East Summit, the Swing School District. I teach at Center 58, the Missouri Gold Star School, and recently named 2 U.S. News and World Report best high schools in the country. And so we're proud of that. We're proud of your distinction. And we have a very good public school. So I live in the suburbs, and my kids go to school in the district where I teach. My husband is also a teacher at a private school, and so we're just in the teacher school.
I'm Sophie Jones. This is my 11th year teaching, and I teach in Nixa. I teach 8th grade math, and this year I start teaching 7th grade math as well. So we have 7th grade, 7th grade accelerated, 8th grade, and 8th grade algebra 1, that they get next week. And then I have 3 kids, and they're in kindergarten, 1st, and 4th grade.
I'm Margaret Longier from St. Joseph, Missouri. I retired from the St. Joseph School District after 27 years. I began as a middle school teacher, advanced to high school, and then was district coordinator for mathematics K through 12. In leaving, I went to the Northwest Regional Professional Development Center on the campus of Northwest in Maryville. But I have since left there. I'm still working as adjunct faculty on teaching a graduate course for the math department, and then doing some math consulting as the need arises. I have been involved with math, with grade level expectations since the beginning. I think we started about 1995, and I have done some work with Smart Balance Assessment Consortium on a contract basis. My daughter did her student teaching with me and now teaches middle school math in Tennyson.
Okay, thank you. I am honored to be in the room with math experts. So very thrilled with that. They have us doing a community building activity.
I just quickly counted around the room, and we had 10 people here.
Correct?
And according to the law, we're supposed to have
17. That is correct.
We don't appear to have at least half the people who are supposed to be working on this here today. It seems kind of a waste to move forward tremendously with a lot of this work. We don't have to do it here.
I mean, so I want to receive my information about this, by the way, on Friday night. So I kind of had to really scramble, first of all, to find somebody to cover my classes. And over the weekend, which is not a lot of fun.
Thank you for making that effort.
Yeah.
I know
But
that.
that's okay. I mean, I don't feel well prepared to really do what we need to do today. And this is, well, I'm honored to be selected. I also know that I've never walked into a classroom or any other meeting where I'm not really prepared. I'm not prepared today.
Sure. This is my perspective. The bond who nominated me, the Missouri School Boards Association, told me, and so they let me prepare. I asked Bessie several times for the list of people who would be on this committee. And they showed me those names that had been submitted by those bodies that were presented before the State Board of Education last week. So I took it upon myself to call several of the entities. I called the Lieutenant Governor because I didn't see a name from there. I called the President Pro Tem's office. I called the Speaker of the House's office. And I was told by one of their administrative assistants that they were purposely not releasing those names. And so
I'm really surprised that when you released the people who were reporting.
I was told that the President Pro Tem was still working on his as of last Wednesday, but they had agreed that they were not telling any one of those names, which I didn't get. And I was asking because a couple of my friends said that they thought that they might be appointed by higher ed. And so they were asking me, and I said, guys, I don't know any more than you know. So that's the only reason I was asking. I even called the higher ed commissioner office, and he was out till Monday, and I asked for the deputy commissioner. So I called in, and I fully appreciate where you are, and I appreciate what you're saying, that there are 7 people missing. I also appreciate that I took off work, and for 2 days, and made arrangements so that, and so I would like to get business done, because I don't want to redo it and have to take off work again.
Well, we'll have to redo it anyway. People from.
Well, my name's Lisa, again, I understand what you're saying. I think that a big part of the problem was that the governor signed the legislation in July, and that our representatives were not really back at work, until the end of August. And I had submitted my name because I was interested in the work early to many entities, the ones that I read in the bill. And I received a letter from Lieutenant Governor Peter Kinder with timelines that he had received from Bessie that just seemed to me that were unreasonable, because they wanted his appointments by August 4th. And that's what he had understood, and that was the day that I received my appointment. Now, who was notified of that appointment, I'm not aware. And I think it's a logistical problem. And it really, those of us that have taken off work and things, because I too prepared lesson plans and you, Nancy, trying to prepare to be here. It's an unfortunate chain of events, that's what I would term it as. Just the whole scenario, and I think we're all doing the best that we can.
Is it fair for the other committee members that are the same as what I talked about at 5:45 Friday night that I was appointed? And monthly I can rearrange my schedule. How about those other people that can't rearrange that whole class notice? Is that really fair to begin work without them because of lack of notification, not because of lack of desire to be here, but because of not being able at such a short notice to just drop everything? And, it's several other times.
It's really good for you to rearrange. What would you suggest?
I would almost suggest that we set a date in the future so that people have proper notification.
And there are a number of us, and I understand everybody's issue and problem, but I rescheduled 4 workshops and rescheduled 2 schools to be able to come and do this. And it was a very short time, short notice, and I understand that, but we've all taken on that work. I think there's probably some hope that we can get it done. I'm not sure exactly what we'll get done, but we can look at some things that I think to say for the next 2 days we're not going to do this is, to me, not the right approach. When you look at what can we do, what can we legitimately do, And I know everybody's here and taking on board, everybody is very caring and really wants to do a good job. But to rearrange all of that would be very difficult.
Well, I don't, is it a matter of rearrangement or is it a matter of maybe setting time now so that we get a full complement and then make certain that we have everyone available? So I mean, I think we can take some organizational steps.
Fred, are you saying that all 17 have to be present?
I would certainly like that. I mean, that's a
Yes.
that's a
But are you saying before we do any work, we have to have all 17 present?
I would think so. At least for the organization of it. I mean, how are we going to select who our chairperson is going to be or anything like that? Once we know who all our participants are.
You know, I'd like to weigh in on that too, because, you know, I'm pretty sure that probably would get more stuff with less notice than me to be here. My husband is up in Minnesota with his mother who just had open heart surgery. My department stepped in to take over my classes today. My neighbors are taking my children to school. And I would be happy to recess and come back when we are all here. Because you know what? I can do this again. I did it once. I can do it again. And I think it's super important that we respect the process by having the people here with proper notice. You know, I think part of the issue that's bringing us here is that we need to respect the process and respect what we're doing as a group to come up with, you know, strong standards for the children, public school children here in our state. And, you know, I just want to put that out there. You know, I worked really hard in my Institute County to say, you know what, we can do this and I can do this here. And I just want to put that out there. I think it's important to listen to people and not just come in and that, you know,
If people for some reason are not able to open the oftentimes thank you for ones that are not able to come, that would then present an opportunity that they could have input if that would happen too, where, you know, and back this morning, I received an email and I didn't check who it was, because I know none of the committee members, and that individual did a mass email to some of the committee members and we were about the same possibility. I can't.
So when you all submitted names, were you not given the 6 dates that the meetings were scheduled?
No. I specifically asked, because originally, the first format that posting representatives, that we agreed to attend the dates, and my question was, what are the dates? Because the dates are not listed there, and they did not know what the dates were. And so then I did not sign that form because I didn't want to come in without knowing the dates.
Well, I think it's up to this group, we're not autonomous group, it's up to us to set the dates.
The dates,
To decide.
the dates, I was given the dates. Are you available on these dates?
Who
Have you
said
thought?
that?
I was recommended, appointed, suggested by Missouri State Teachers Association. And that information, or I was asked the middle of July. And there was, you know, can you attend these 6 dates? We want you to be at all 6 meetings, understanding that expenses are on your own. And, you know, what are you qualified for? Have you been in the Missouri School District? Wasn't it 10 years? Did you have 10 years of teaching experience? And there was a questionnaire. So I guess I thought that that went to all committee members. I also rearranged schedules and things on the calendar. I was not officially notified until Wednesday because I was told the appointments had to go to the State Board of Education, even though Missouri State Teachers Association felt that the appointment would be approved. So, I mean, things were waiting at that point.
Well, if I can use
use a 21st century skill as a part of Common Core and do close reading, if we look at the language of 1490, which is what created these work groups, it says the state board shall convene work groups. It didn't say it should direct them, it didn't say this, it just said we based on the local state office. Just the state board has to come together, and then the work groups are autonomous to work at whatever pace they feel is appropriate, and whatever pace they feel necessary. I know I'm talking to teachers and trying to get them to make these, to apply. A lot of them said, well, how many days of school am I going to have to miss for this? Teachers are very committed to their classrooms, and we've all discussed how difficult it is to get substitutes and to have these overnight sessions and have to do during the weekday. It is very, very difficult for them. I think the work group should come up to a consensus as to what we think, how often we think we need to be, and where, and that sort of thing.
Well, I was sent the application by someone in my district, the director of curriculum in the district, and it did say to meet on the dates, and so I called Senator Weston's office and found out what day it was going to be meeting. But I also found out, like you guys, and I know that it's frustrating, but this may be unpopular opinion, but I feel like we're here, and I feel like there is work that we can do while we're here, and if it were the only day we were going to meet, I would probably be like some of you and say, you know, we need to make sure that we're all here. But I feel like since we're going to meet other times as well, we should get what we can done today, and then, you know, whether it be an email or whatever, but to get the other members of the group up to speed with us, so that we're all ready to meet again as a group and move forward next time as well.
There will be notes, and it is being recorded. I think we should pause and let Deborah introduce herself.
Hi,
Hi, Deborah.
my name is Deborah Miller. I'm an assistant principal from Parkville High School in Kansas City, Missouri. And I was appointed, I suppose, by the MASSP, Missouri Association of Secondary School Principals.
Right, thank you. Currently, under the plans that are currently in place, we are meeting today and tomorrow. Today from 9 to 3, I'm sorry, 9 to 4, I got my 4 and 3 mixed up, and 8 to 3 tomorrow. And then we also have October 2nd and 3rd, and October 20th and 21st. And those are the 6 additional dates, and the rooms are reserved. The arrangements are made as far as.
Where did you get these dates from?
I'm sorry?
I thought we were as a group, we're supposed to select our dates.
Well, I don't know if that's accurate. The information I was given was we had 6 dates, and then if we need more dates beyond that we can certainly do that.
And who gave you that information?
Desi gave me that information.
Is Desi no longer a historian?
I think Desi has to organize and facilitate and I guess implement the intentions of the law. And somebody has to organize and they arrange for it.
I absolutely agree, somebody should be chairman and do that organization.
And I'm just asking, I wouldn't know how to go about reserving every room, getting all the meal tickets. I don't think I need that. But what I'm saying is that is part of the organization that took place. And I understand they were trying to help.
Yeah, I understand, but it's an incredibly aggressive schedule with no explanation as to why it needs to be that aggressive. More agreement among the people serving on this group that it needs to be that aggressive schedule. I fully appreciate that. Certainly they had to call for me, somebody had to do that. And that's the letter of the law that says that it shall be convened by October 1st. But beyond that, what we do and how we do it, it doesn't make sense for some outside group to be telling us what to do. The law doesn't give them that power.
And I'm asking because I'm just a plain speaking person. To me, as I told you, when I called last week and I heard we're not doing it specifically, we're not telling Desi. It seems like this is more about the working relationship with Desi and Desi's role than it is about children and standards. And that's where I'm having a concern. I'm having a concern because I have spent 37 years of my life immersed in public education, actually over 37 years, because I'm still on the school board and I'm still working in that capacity. And so I'm nearing 4 decades of my life dedicated to that, in addition to having children, which I forgot to mention, by the way. So when I take my time and I commit to something, I commit to it, and I came here not having to have reread the whole standards because I have read them, thoroughly read them, and I've worked with them. And I've worked with them in the classroom, and came here to honestly and openly talk about children's standards and what's best for those kids. And for us to get hooked up on who arranged the meeting, I think diminishes why we're really here. And I don't get it. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't get it. I don't really care who arranged the meeting. We're here, and we're here to talk about kids and math standards and what's best for the kids in the state of Missouri. What will make them the best they can be and give them the best start to a future that they choose. That's honestly why I feel we're here. And I understand that we may not solve everything. The Agri president comes in and he's fully prepared for meetings and feels like he didn't get time to prepare for this. And I don't know what's to come today. I don't know.
And I fully appreciate where you're coming from, and I understand that. I want to do as much as we possibly can today. However, this is the first I heard about the second, third, the 20th and 21st. What I'd like to do is I'd like our group to be the one controlling our agenda, how we get things done, and all that. So, for me to miss within a 1 month time period, 6 days of school, it's pretty important that, I'd like to space it out a bit more. That's why I thought we were here to organize today, to get what our schedule was going to be and all that. I didn't realize so many things were written in stone, but that's my only concern. So let's us as a group really do a good job on this by having a schedule that we can fully commit to, as well as make certain we, because I only got word on Friday. Some other people may have only got word on Sunday. What I'd like to do is just maybe we can take it just at a pace where we can make certain that we know that everyone has been informed about meetings. When we can plan reasonable time frame for us to get these done, rather than trying to get everything all finished up before the end of October.
And this is just curiosity here. Whoever informed you, did you ask them why it was such late notification?
We're getting pretty far off the page.
No,
I just want to say,
that is what is causing the halt here, is because you didn't have that prior notification. And if MSBA would have told me on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, I would have said, why did you notify me so late? I'm thrilled that you notified me, but why so late?
but no matter what the answer is to that question, it changes nothing. And so I want to come back and say, Nancy, I'm not accusing you of anything, but I think it's a little early in the game to be talking about who's here for kids and who's not here for kids.
Well, we're all here
We
for
are
kids.
all here for kids. And
Yes,
you're saying, y'all people want to set your own schedule, you must not be here for kids.
No, but
That's
no,
already offensive suggestion.
I never said that. So if you took it that way, I apologize to you, but I never said that. What I said was how I was here and why I committed to it. I never said anything about anything. I hope we're all here for kids.
And so all we are here for is to
So
have
what
a
I'm
good
saying is-
organizing behavior and not have it being trying to control by somebody that's outside of the work group. That's the issue.
I appreciate that.
The one thing is, I appreciate the fact that you are all here, and I'm very sorry that it's a hardship, and I understand the frustration. Deborah would like to weigh in. Yes, ma'am.
Does anybody know what the network key is? Is there a
Ray, weigh in. I think it's public.
Okay, we just choose the public one.
Take care.
You know, I really appreciate what Nancy said about perspective, and, I think it's really good that we have a wide ranging perspective here. And some people's logistical issues with getting here are worse than others, trying to manage all that. Or we all may have the same. We don't really know all the factors that are going into an individual's plans to get here, or when they got the notice for the meeting. Okay? That's just, we all have that.
By the way, you never did ask why. Only pointed that I'm former military, so I just, okay, these are the martial orders. So I will be there at that right time.
And you understand the reason I asked is because of what I was told by those officers last week. That it was
I have no idea. I got wasn't your friends and neighbors type of letter that I commissioned that, but yeah, only get other people will appreciate it.
Well, it definitely sounds like we had a table full of experts. That we have. And the intent was simply to get 6 days on the calendar to work. And then if the group decides they need more time, you can set dates beyond that. We are
So
forcing
Jesse had already determined that we were going to finish the entire work of this committee in 6 days.
Can I just ask a question?
That's not.
I came here today hoping that after the first 2 initial days, that we can reschedule later days. Because it is difficult, to find a substitute teacher for my classroom, and I'm willing to work on the weekends, volunteer. I don't want to speak, I'm not speaking for everybody, and I don't know what everybody's situation is, but one reason that I would like to spread out the meetings is because I think it would be good to get some feedback from our communities on throughout steps as we go. That's
What is the time frame that we have to accomplish what we need to accomplish? What is the law say we have to do?
So the worker shall recommend academic performance standards to State Board of Education by October 1st, 2015. So we have a year.
2050. Oh, okay. So we don't have to rush this.
But if you don't get started.
Oh, no, I'm not saying no. We're starting now.
Because writing the standards and looking at standards, revising standards takes a tremendous amount of time.
Yes.
And so if we don't start now and get really, and it doesn't mean, it doesn't say that it has to be done in these 6 meetings that are scheduled. This is a beginning ground. This is how we start. When we set up, look at setting up protocols, and we probably should set norms for this team and how we're going to operate, and do those types of things. And I really believe that those are something that we can do. And I mean, we have people that are we don't know that people are not going to come in later this afternoon. We don't know that people may not be able to come today and have things scheduled to come tomorrow.
They might be wondering one of those things.
Well, I was wandering around here. Right? Because I saw one name at the end there. It wasn't until I finally got partway down this, and I was given an address over Yellow Street. So I mean,
And right when I got in the building, I started to go up to the 3rd floor.
started also.
And so I think there's a lot of work that we can do and a lot of groundwork that we can do, but we probably need to set some protocols, and then we're going to look at standards. How are we going to address that? To start with you, what are the protocols that we want to set out that we can all agree upon? Because, as Nancy said, we're all here because we're here for kids. Okay, and we want to do the right thing for kids. There's nobody in this room that doesn't. Okay, and it's not a political agenda on anybody's side. And if it is, then that's another issue. But we're here for kids, and I'm all about doing what's best for kids. I've had a lot of experience in teaching and outside of teaching as well. I work with kids, and everybody wants to do what's right for kids. But the thing we have to do is we have to really come to, some norms and some protocols about how are we going to move forward. Because
the bantering back and forth doesn't help anybody. We're here for kids, and how are we going to do the best? And I think getting feedback is a great thing. But it's going to take us a while even to get to that point where we're ready to get feedback, because one of the things, if we're going to get feedback, we should have kind of a consistent way that we're going to do it. How we will put the package together, send it out to people and get their feedback. And that takes time to do it right.
Well, to be honest, I don't understand why we're not meeting with people in that room over there. I mean, you can't put all the 7K5 standards separate instead of the 6 standards. That must be
I think that's going to happen.
I think it has to be.
That has, perhaps we could have a general meeting tomorrow with all of us together, so we start from the same ground.
Well, and
there are 8 teams, I mean, there's all different teams.
No, I'm not talking about the.
Right, but I mean, if looking at the big picture, I think we need to consider what the other groups, or maybe, I don't know if that can be Jay taking notes to check to see what. No, but I think as far as schedules, calendars, when we expect to be done, what, some of the other groups have also understood. If everybody has the same issues at the table this morning as far as.
Yeah, you said no, I think you said no, because I think she's got a point. But maybe we should have just one where everyone is. I mean, it's every, the other groups all have the same, 6 days.
Yes. And logistically, it's been out since July, so the dates have been out there all. So, and apparently that somewhere the budget were asked to probably didn't give you those dates up front, or even if you were nominated for the official meeting, somebody probably didn't give the dates up front, but that it is what it is. So what we do is we look at where we're at and how we move forward.
Well, there are supposed to be monthly reports to the president, lieutenant, and the speaker of the House. It seems to me that in order to give those distinct reports, there should be an overall chairman of all 8 subgroups, so that those reports can be given. So I feel like there needs to be a large, everybody's on the same training.
I appreciate what you're saying. I am thinking in my mind 132 people. No, I'm talking about input, eliciting input from 132 people. It doesn't grow over the night.
Well, and that's something, but that's something we can discuss as a group, what would be our inputs to really have 4 inputs to.
And one of the activities when we get through the PowerPoint is, actually, I think at the end of tomorrow, is collecting a liaison and an assistant liaison. And I printed out kind of the job description, and and that would be the person who reports. So we have a tentative recommendation on how to get to people to report. And who would do that, and I brought it in writing so that everyone would have that. That was just one of those things. And it's a little late to run down the PowerPoint, but since it's there, I put that there.
I did the one. I don't agree with the one.
We talked about the standards, and then there's also one here for norms before we move away from the norms. We kind of ran from norms to who's going to report. The paper you have is your work group would elect a person to make those reports, to be the liaison, and to make the reports, go to the hearings, attend the hearings. Thank you, ma'am. And as facilitators, we ask for that in writing. So that we have something so that the group to take responsibilities of that person would be. Before we move on, I guess we can come back and talk about firms, but we are to that point. And basically, at think the thought was simply technology. I tried to make sure my phones are off, so they're not beeping. Breaks, we talked a little bit about when we want to take breaks, and we said as needed. Every once in a while, we may just need to adjourn as a group for a few minutes so we can stretch our legs. Presume positive intent. All of us are here for a positive reason, and I think it's an honor to be here. And I'm honored to be in the room with you. And be an engaged participant. It looks like we are going to have an engaged group, great conversation. Share speaking time, so that no one of us speaks more. And then which ones do we want to establish as a group? So as a group, and we can come back to that, but I know earlier that comment was made that will be established. One thought, and for the good of the group, we could get through the PowerPoint, and then when we get to the end of it, then say, okay, what is it as a work group that you want to establish? That way, if it's here and it's helpful, that's great. If it's not here and it's something you want to redirect or rediscuss, we can do that as well. Is that a fair enough thought?
How long is it going for?
It is. I think it's 32 slides. I'm a fast talker, though. I can move as quickly. I can move as quickly or as slowly as you would like, and I'm happy to do that. For the good of the group.
It says there we already established some norms.
I think the some norms was maybe covered out in technology breaks, presume positive intent. And then it's, right, there are other things. I think we just went to the basics. And the open meetings rule, I may have addressed that before we get into this. It's simply, it's a work group. So there will be observers, and observers are welcome, and we have comment sheets for them, but they cannot be part of the work group. You are the work group, and you will be the person people doing it. But observers can come in, and there is a process for them to get feedback and input. So we kind of, they looked at the processes, and you can adjust those as you see.
Provide that. Do we get to see their comments?
I turn them in at the end of each day. We are certainly, I see no reason why we can't read them or pass them around. We could read them before I turn them in.
Well, and maybe that's one of the things we need to establish the protocol.
Yeah.
If they're going to be turned in, and then if somebody takes them, then maybe types them up and sends them out to the group, so that we can unbiased, unedited, we just send them out. So that we're going to see what everybody said, and then go from there.
Are you, I guess we're just a little confused. Is the group providing feedback to the commenters? Is that what you meant? Or is that your comments as feedback to us?
Yeah, it's their feedback to us. I'm sorry. And Karen, would you like to speak to that? Karen will be recording, somebody's recording.
Yes, I am recording on the webcam for YouTube, and Jay is recording notes so then you have hard copy. And then I'm backing up Jay with extra notes to be sure we've got it.
So the intent is to have a record. Okay? And may I?
And then we'll come back to
All right.
we'll establish this group, is that okay with everybody? Because I think we need to make sure we do that.
And here's my challenge of the day. I think this is 4 to 6 minutes. It is a brief video that may have to be in PowerPoint. That may have to be in PowerPoint.
Show slide.
Right here, show slide.
Go down to the bottom.
Go down
To the bottom, and you see that little, see where the breakdown next to the bottom. Go 2 over, 3 over. Next to the 62%.
Okay, and then, all right, there you go. All work groups are seeing the same presentation.
I, for one, think it means that we need to step up our game in teaching kids how statistics and numbers can be used to be misleading. I am not kidding.
Since the good news is that schools are improving in the US, the bad news is not quite improving.
But I love the actions on it.
I know, that's our need.
I need to know exactly what the actions are. Otherwise, it's useless information.
It's combined by one metric.
Yeah, by what metric? By what metric are they being measured?
Yeah.
And that's a basic thing I teach all my students. If you don't have right foot on, if you don't have all that, the answer's wrong. So.
And this was a general slide showing for, I think, what you said for all theories.
Even so, I would think of it, it's a basic math background, it's precise background.
I'm not disagreeing.
If those other groups aren't asking the same exact question, we have failed them.
That's right. My bet is they're not, okay, many of them will not, because you're right, we have failed it because we haven't gone into depth.
Then how is that line going up?
Well, you know it's increasing, but we don't even know what it's increasing by the months, which is one of the big things we talk about now, that is our labels, our titles, our scales, those types of things. So it is, but it is what it is, so I think we know that it's increasing, we don't necessarily know what component or what content it is, so.
I would still question.
Yeah, I don't think we can know that it's increasing without knowing all those things. Yeah, I mean.
We don't know what it's on, but.
Yeah, we don't know whether it's going up or down, we don't even know what it is, that's our point.
Well, and that's what I'm saying.
We have more children process,
May not know
what process means.
Yeah, it might be that, what's increasing is, numeracy, that's what's increasing, so really you just want that, that's the point.
You think that's what's improving, Judy?
I'm sorry.
You think that's what's improving, I think that's not.
The indifference.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because that's our point, is that you can't see the.
Right,
it-
that's
Yeah.
why we have standards, that's the whole purpose of standards. Anyway, just.
There are some background slides that just give you the background of Missouri as far as for the assessments and the standards. Kind of standards and standardized assessments have a long history in the United States. Missouri's history with standardized assessment. The Iowa Basic. Missouri Assessment Program, math test. Then we had the Outstanding Schools Act, 1993, which established the Show Me standards. Can I brought this for you? I tried to bring you what I thought you would want to get and need to see. It's the placemat. And generally, for classroom teachers, this is what it looked like. I just randomly copied this for you. And the Show Me standards are still in place today.
I think the law actually refers to this.
Yes, it does. And so the Show Me standards, this says the state was adopting more than 75 academic performance standards. Education professionals must be involved. State board shall develop written curriculum frameworks, and each district shall adopt and develop curriculum aligned to the standards. And then there's a picture. Standards.
So we'll lose my down, I heard that. Have you ever actually seen it?
It isn't really, I don't have a single in white.
Page 76. So there are 6 groups here. Anyone can have those. I thought of those because I want a good stack. Then, of course, came the Child Left Behind 2002. assessment became the name of the game. And we started at various grade levels. Some states simply selected a test and did not compose their own standards. Other states created grade level standards, but because these were done state by state, the level of difficulty of both the standards and the assessments varied from state to state. This lack of consistency among states was the major reason for consideration of a common set of expectations across the country. Consistency was needed to compare achievement across states in a logical way.
You know, you mentioned, you have a note there on the slide, and Missouri has in its law that our standards must be closely aligned, as close as possible aligned to the NAEP. In fact, if you look at the NAEP site, they show that Missouri is either 1 or 2 in terms of alignment. So, you know, the Missouri standard, what we had before, starting with the No Child Left Behind, we were already aligned with the NAEP.
Missouri's response to No Child Left Behind was to create grade level expectations and course level expectations for each content area and each grade level, but all aligned to the Show Me standards. Every item on every Missouri Assessment Program test is coded to the Show Me standard to ensure alignment. We need to point out that the standards are looking at that we are looking at during the work group fall into this category. That is the expectation level. The Show Me standards remain. Additionally, please note these expectations were revised. We know the process of writing standards, expectations, and curriculum is good and requires revision. And then we have the Missouri Learning Standards, and House Bill 1490 work groups will focus on the circled parts of this chart. The state assessments are developed from the expectations. Review the Show Me standards, which should be available at the table. The participants will have received electronic copies of the expectations. Missouri School District control what is in their district curriculum, what materials are purchased, how teachers teach, and how information is reported to parents, among many other things. We've been immersed in implementing the current expectations for at least 3 years. Many districts have invested in materials and trainings. A great deal of work has already been done. And then we get to, again, term and fall. So, am I on track so far?
Did it say that participants should receive electronic copy of themselves? I haven't received any.
Was a web.
Well,
I didn't receive one.
Okay, did you get an email?
From Sharon?
Yes.
Well,
I don't think this answered.
Well, no, I think that they did send it to the names that were submitted to them. And if they didn't get the names, then they probably, I can forward it to you. You know, that phrase you come over and we'll support it on something else.
I'm sure I would like to have the same information.
Absolutely.
And while we're having that discussion, I don't have an official sign-in sheet, but could we sign and put emails and contact information, and that way we get an email served so that what one person gets, everybody gets. Would that be fair? So let's do that.
Is there a way we get everybody's contact information?
Absolutely.
Yes. Don't you think so?
Absolutely.
I'm gonna use this little sheet.
We just have to develop it, but we'll be happy to do that.
So it's not a mass list. It doesn't see.
Not that I have seen to date.
The names were not as of the Friday.
Well, you don't get till Friday night.
I can call them.
I think they're compiling a list. These are just, actually, it looks like they have a template here that has the ability. So maybe we should just pass this around and let everyone confirm. Yeah, let's just be sure and confirm the date or the information that you have and add what we need to. Can we take a stretch break for just a moment, or you want to keep that? Let's stretch for a second. All right.
Someone brings over here the definition.
I was passing it, I passed it.
Oh.
You asked for you.
Yes.
Born and raised.
Oh, really?
Yeah. What's going on?
Now, I just went to high school there, but
Oh, okay.
my family put down that for years.
It's the only thing I understood that was going on.
What was that said? Pastor Page, but you can golf before that.
Thursday afternoon. I mean, I'm supposed to thing, yeah. That's with my mother or having a right. But, I mean, and it's fine, but I do feel like we need to have, people here, as far as what the reviews are. I mean, I'm not sure.
I think it will always find some people that are not going to be able to make it. I don't think they're.
Right.
I'm sure that, they got notice, we can, I'd like to have them actually confirm that they got their notice and declined, or that, they're available by Skype, or, have some sort of means of having people participate. I mean, it was, I had to get up at, 4:04 this morning, in order to get on the road to drive.
Where are you from?
Ava.
And what time do you?
I left at, about 20 to 5.
Yeah.
And I-
For here.
Yes, yes. So,
I'm south of St. Louis, I left a little before it's nice. And, here and I'm so slow getting from the.
well, there was all that fog in the road this morning.
Oh, my goodness.
Wasn't that something?
What road did you come on?
Well, I had to come up to 63. I went, over around, Mountain Grove, and then,
Yes.
then I'm up 63.
I know you was so impressed, but I'm trying to be clear. I promise everybody shoots right.
Okay.
Okay.
How does this look? Okay. Of course. You're sitting.
That's where you were from geographically.
About 30 minutes.
Okay. In the center, in the heart of Missouri. That's where David's from. He was from like Williamsburg. He used to teach at Nelson.
Okay, when I heard
There you go.
Is that so you've done it all.
And we're across the sea.
Oh, I know.
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, let me read high school.
Oh, okay.
My students in Montana. So, and live closer actually to the other side of the project. So you are on fairly South Summit. Hey, how you been? I've had gorgeous customers.
Man, the garage, you know.
Are you really?
I'm not getting in there, that's the busy one.
Are you?
I'm gonna watch the pilot, so I.
So does that go before they start with the teams?
I don't think so. I think that.
They can go through it. It's under five.
Oh, was that one?
Yeah. I was reading this one.
Just to get up, walk away. And when we do this first time, and we'll shut down, we have to change the system. Right. Yeah. And then maybe that's it. Yes, Margaret, right. Yeah, I know. We had test that to do such and such. Smart issues. Okay, we just.
Well, when I should have this, I know yourself, like, they want to follow the United States.
The person who came in here last didn't get one of those little meal sheets.
Oh, right, the extras are like over there. I was in the end of the line and I just put the.
And this one is. Oh, Deborah Miller. This is right here.
If that's when you get all the way around, I don't think we can go anything down there.
Okay, I'll send it back that way.
So those kids are in school. No way. They wouldn't survive. Absolutely. So you always lived in that area? We didn't have a from other places, we just grew up. No, my husband, right, he started out in okay. Oh, okay. So we I live in the sun. Okay. So I started teaching DC.
Amen, sister.
And you know what? Everybody complains about kids not going fast now. They couldn't be practices in trade then.
I like to tell a story when I was in undergrad. Science teachers had calculators. I'm just getting used to they did about which are $15 and they went out and they were going to use them a little bigger. Now people didn't have them. I was over more science too. Oh yeah. It was $80 for my calculator. And just to put it in perspective, my tuition was $300. This one I bought.
I saw the first applicant.
My first.
Yeah, mine was, ours was 63, and it was like,
I went to the bookstore at college, and the first portrait I got the TI-10s, and they were $120, and they added subtracted, had a function key on, and the memory key out came on, and that was all they had, and got that was it was $120 for that.
My daughter did science and cosine, all the ones and all that.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I used to slide rule all the time. When I was like.
The best ones were the Japanese with the family.
Yeah. They said, you know what, they're
And we would have, drills, where we pull out, pull out, do the fast, but you had to start from here. To the bottom. Draw. It was a draw and so.
They had a giant.
Across the
Yeah,
board.
yes, yes, you know, yes.
I wish I would try that sucker.
What's your
I didn't say anything.
I remember seeing the videos on. They were doing stuff on that. Which is what? Yeah. It was but truly advanced ones that were on the end. This way. Fingers on the table. Which is like, they like that a lot of times with the kids in the classroom, is that if you have charts and have some things up there that help them get test and stuff and visual things. So if I don't know, that they still have that place where they visualize everything is what we're about. But I tell you, the other thing is break it out. Well, because in the schools, even though you don't need that, you go back.
So is that live going on with things, or is like that hours later?
My mom was doing it.
So then she'll upload it later to the.
I want to go out like publish it. I don't know.
Some of them, you can make research to some of those things. I know exactly.
Well, because they said that all of the sessions were video recorded and posted online.
Well, that's
Oh, that.
Well, I mean, they're different. So the kids in there's one that everybody, there's excellent studies. So some of the interpretation is say that there's second one, and not with the stats, it says that comes more.
So. The sub live streaming, is that something we can access?
I can do double mine.
Well, I think that there is already a chance to find we all have expectations of
we're still here. And so, I'm doing
Yes, we're gonna start.
And we're gonna start out in about 2 minutes. We have one person.
Was your appointment from the, career technical education group?
I did. It's usually, it's pick on the right one. Oh, yeah, there was one.
Which one? I think it's the,
Always one that says.
and that's the one we don't have. It was kind of nice, I wasn't on there, so emails not coming.
No,
It's actually kind of nice.
Whether it's personal,
But we're growing.
You know, I heard a business was hiring something where instead of just putting them in an office notification, it would say, an office does not reveal you, so you can.
Oh, yeah.
They had to sign up for that, so that it was weak, they were about 157,000 sales on that.
We're kind of changing our society when we used to have a vacation for notification, but now you don't keep it on your phone, unfortunately, we come back, it's 10 times as much.
Yeah, that's true. And that's,
I'm not sure that's how we do that. I hardly ever, I mean, I get all these things from Facebook and I never. This is not all time.
okay, we are on slide 22, 10 more slides. And this talks about House Bill 1490 and the timeline. July 10th for the law, and then committee selection was August through September, and then committee work and public comment, and then state board approval. So our group, your group, I tend to put myself in when you give me that. That your work group is a work group, and there will be public comment sessions, so that public has an opportunity for input, and then the recommendations that are made have to go through the State Board of Education. So we are one step of the process. 2015-16, the assessments are created, so the work has to be done. I think someone said October 2015, we had that conversation. But we are, or you are, a work group, and the three of us are your support, and just to facilitate the process, because the process is very important. District implementation and assessments. So for school districts, this is very important, because as the work is occurring, then it's implemented into school districts 2016, 2017. Yep, look, I had it myself, supporting your work as the facilitator, note taker, reporter, and then I gave you the job description because we were talking about the committee liaisons. They create reports and then attend the public and state meetings to provide reports. And then our goal is building sufficient consensus as we go through. And one thing that my notes say is that we don't have to have 100%, but we would like the consensus. So, and that may be a one that we discuss as we go through the process. The House Bill 1490 work plan, use the note-taking sheets, and we have sheets to each appointee prior to the meeting date to bring the discussion. We have 6 meetings, today and tomorrow, October 2nd, 3rd, October 20th, and 21st. And in all of our logistical rooms, we are side by side with the elementary math room.
Well, I think we need to still discuss those last days there.
And all meetings are videotaped, so that's part of the process as well. And then points to ponder. How will this change affect grade levels before and after? If we add an expectation, do we need to subtract one as well? How will students demonstrate understanding of this new expectation on the state assessment? And how will this change and affect diverse student groups? So your work affects every student in Missouri, all of our children.
Well, it doesn't affect private school students, and if we don't do a good job, it encourages more and more people to use private schools. So I think you need to recognize that private schools, homeschools, increase their numbers as a result of the public losing confidence in standards for public schools. And so I think that's a way that we need to look at that. And I'm not in a sharp way, but I just, when you look at it, you do have to think about that.
Our end goal, what's best for Missouri students, expectations that reflect the consensus of appointees, a document that can be approved by the State Board of Education, reports for legislators, hearings and town hall meetings, and reports to the State Board of Education. And the work group keeps in mind the first two, and then the people who take on the roles of the liaison of the group gets to attend the class. And then there's an activity on, and that's 3 slides. What is college and career ready? Students will what? Consider each of the characteristics of a college and career ready student. Think about what a student at a variety of grade levels looks like. Now we skip the first activity. You guys want to go into the college and career ready? And let's basically we have the framework for 21st century learning.
Well, I know one of the appointees was on the curriculum alignment initiative. So we're the Missouri people, a lot of higher ed and a lot of K-12 people who spent over a year working on the high school level expectations, final expectations. And they all agreed that high school students meet those guidelines when they would be concentrated on applying at the state with their own state experts what that looks like. So I think, and that's one of the liaisons from that work that is supposed to be on this group. So, and it's even mentioned in the bill that we consider the work of curriculum alignment initiative. So we need to, that work is somewhat on.
Do you have that available?
Do I have, I gave you what I have available, the college and career.
Okay, no, what she was just mentioning, I was wondering if you had that.
Is that only college or that's career ready?
They were specifically charged in a bill that was passed by the Senate to develop, and I'm blanking on the correct word to use, but the high school endpoints to be considered college ready. So that's supposed to define and make sure that our standards will be college ready definition. We've had a group that spent a lot of time and effort doing that work here in Missouri. We know what that looks like.
Was it just
college? It was just college ready.
This is college and career.
I understand.
Okay, but that sounds like it'd be a good starting point, though.
And asking you what exact standards they have to be mastered in order to be a college ready. I think it means like, in order to be successful after high school, what skills, not necessarily just content, but what skills are missing, like problem solving. And in my opinion, that's one of the biggest ones, those kids have to be able to problem solve. Well, then, when you're going into your standards, that's one of the things that you have to have with problem solving. But I don't think necessarily means like, in math, they have to build these skills, and in this context, for this activity, that's my choice.
No, I think it's an activity so we understand each other, or we have an idea of what each other believes is a college career is.
It is. It's an activity for us to have a conversation around college and career readiness. And from my perspective, what does it look like? And so, how about if we count off by fours? That way people aren't working with somebody they're sitting by, and have a conversation around what does college and career ready look like? And from your perspective, from your group's perspective, and then share out. That gives us an opportunity to have a conversation around the work that we will be doing in the future.
I always like to have my conversations based upon facts, and that, I mean, if there's something that we have that has been developed, I'd like to use that as a standard or a criteria. It's how when we know, measure up against that. That's, unfortunately, I didn't know about that.
I think a number of us didn't know about that, it hasn't been published.
Yeah, I mean, that seems like it'd be pretty important.
It is, but I still agree with what Tiffany said, we can still have a conversation about what is college and career readiness, give some generalities. Exactly, because we're not going to talk specifically about the math skills that they have to have, because we may differ on that, that's okay, but I think we can talk about general things. What are the types of things you know very well coming to the university, of what do kids need to have? And then there are a number of people in here that have either worked at the university or worked in high schools. It can have some feedback on what we really need to have, that kind of big picture understanding. And then what you talked about, we can get down into some of the details later, but philosophically, what do we really think that should be? And I know there's a groundwork that's been laid, but I think we can still come to having a discussion, because we kind of need to all be on the same page, or not exactly the same page, but at least be open to what other people have for ideas.
I just wonder though, if we're not really putting the cart before the horse, so to speak, because when you say college and career ready, that's not one thing. So even if you step back and just look at one of those two things, take your pick, then that's not just one thing either. So who's ready for college? Well, it depends, what college, what program, exactly what are their goals in doing that. And it's the same on the career side. So, I mean, I don't know, I would say there's social skills, and that's probably about the only thing. And again, because I don't think, that it's not one thing that we're talking about. One size fits all is not the right answer to any question. So, I mean, I'm not opposed to having a conversation, but I'm just not sure that, I put mine out there so you can,
Okay, Deborah would like to weigh in.
I would just say that I suppose it depends on one's philosophy, because I know that my philosophy in the district where I come from, we tend to believe that college and career readiness is the same thing. If you are ready for college, you are ready for career, and vice versa. Those are the same skills that you're developing. But I know not everybody thinks that way.
I have something on my computer, would I be able to share it with the group?
Certainly.
Okay, is that okay with you guys?
Sure.
Can I use your overhead?
And it's on college and career readiness? Is it on the topic?
General topic.
Is it general topic?
It's more on perspective.
Okay. Is now the moment for it, is what I asked.
I don't know.
Is now the moment?
That's why I'm asking the group.
Or do we get to, I've got 3 more slides and we're to the end of our slides. Do we want to do it at the end, or, but if this is the perfect moment, I still want to give you all.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. Well, let's put that in if that's okay. And we'll do that in just a few minutes. However, just for the sake of, we're educators and life is good. let's stand and get in groups of 5 and just have a conversation. If your niece or nephew or your daughter or your son, what do you want them to look like when they graduate from high school to be ready for life? Just a general conversation around what do you want that to happen. 5 people that you're not sitting by. 2 groups of 5 that you're not sitting by. Just a general conversation. Yeah. I'd like to see that. Oh. I was wondering if I was sitting by.
No, I'm sitting next to her. So, I mean, it's intelligence, be able to reason and think, solve problems as they create for them, to analyze when something someone's trying to pull over their eyes.
I think a very important point that I would also hear is that we want them to be able to look at both sides and be able to determine facts and use those facts and concept and be able to judge when you're in discussion.
I don't get this, you know.
Well, you know, I think about our lives, looking at 2 or 3 young kids, 6 and 8th grade, so your kind of career as we were white collar professional, so I think even one of them, we call it value writing and coding and writing, we have to go by our never let the lie figure out that sense of thought about the writing, I think is the first the margins are one thing. Challenge authority on junior college, you know, be writing study, you know,
Or even
something is right.
some kids that are work right off
Also, is having that curiosity of mind and a level of learning.
That's true, but it's
Lifelong learning. That it doesn't end in high school, it doesn't end at college, it never ends. If I'm not learning something every single day, I'm doing something wrong.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's like you guys are saying, that's the other day, besides the ability to communicate those things with other people. Receiving information, understanding what people say, interacting with, communicating their ideas clearly with Exactly.
And also realize that just because everyone's entitled to an opinion doesn't mean their opinion's right. It has to be fact-based. If it's not, that's not the facts. We are only covered, it's not the majority.
I think you're talking and figure out pretty much working at what we want our kids to do. I think you said and I asked them for conversations that I. And they don't have pressure yet. Some of them are talking about specifically dynamics. We want our kids to be successful. We want to see there's also understanding for your
from the leader to have programs and be able to judge on that. On the ground, so the person that uses skills here, and all of those things. Because they are using these around. Teaching at the university level, whether they're only the first one on that publication, whether it's a part member, he's going to be able to know evaluate exactly, he's going to know what so.
A lot of people shortchange. They have to think of the faith, hope, and love that they have to have. On a daily basis.
One arena to another. So whether it's like on home, say about an transfer into power, either different tools or into the homes and technology.
And you can help teach to that. I mean, I was my kids were Asperger's and really did not like moving outside of their realm, and you can make all the skills, and you get strategies, and you help start successful in children. And so, no, I'm not saying that we can automatically teach everything to that situation within figures, but I do think
But in Palmer,
Well, and I agree with you wholeheartedly, but I'm really not like, everybody sees like everybody should run, just because everybody's getting this way. Standardize all of this, that's a sort of idea, but I mean, you're gonna get every kid to a certain level. So like, very advanced stuff. But you got careful, other people see how to say, this is the norm, everybody should do what they say, and realizing this and all that.
But you also, even when you get those state tests like that, you also have.
But there's one of the very
Maybe
great
dying of Asperger's.
chemistry divide. Teachers, and he did it,
Did he go from point A to point B?
categorized things
and
with
grows?
somebody asked
And then you can see that.
how do you mention it?
Account.
I said, well, there's something that's in
Or
with
whether
what I
it's-
already know, and therefore it can add some more knowledge, or it
Not
doesn't,
bring
and
this
it
far.
becomes an exception that I can, as a current partner, also
Not just
somewhere else. And it's the same way with what you were
to make
talking
sure that they actually.
is that there is a lot of shared values.
They do, even from
But there is no
a.
shared values, that's what we have to communicate as well. And sometimes the shared values are the ones that are tougher to talk about, because everybody sort of understands them. But it's don't, we're looking for that commonality that we have, where we have that shared versus, and then what are those outlier areas? And that's what adds the beauty, the other facets. Of gem law.
I know what together.
Well, I recommend, all right, it will take just 30 seconds or here, bring our conversation to a conclusion.
I can take 30 seconds.
And I apologize, Krista, I'm preparing for double knee surgery.
Oh,
At the same hospital. Right now, I got a shock.
So in your conversation, was just a couple people share out, or what do you think when that son, nephew, niece, daughter graduates? What do you want them to look like?
Problem solver, someone who is never afraid of a challenge, someone who always continues their learning, someone who can deal with ambiguity, someone who can look at both sides and determine what are the facts in the case. And communicate.
All right. You want to find the other group?
So you get multiple things, one, that go with the problem solving, somebody that can think logically.
Well, that's part of the problem solving. In other words, you're doing something. If you don't think logically, you're not doing something properly.
Well, I think people solve.
And I think there was a little disagreement within our group. Some people wanted to also have that there certain level if you're gonna go on to college or academic life, is what I've heard.
Read at a certain level, write at a certain
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for participating in that activity. You look like you rather enjoyed it. Good conversation. We did the turn and talk, so I think we're good. There is a specific protocol, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes after our next presentation. We'll let Lisa talk before we talk about the protocol. We have a specific protocol. We'll come back to that, and that's for the next day. So see, those two are for, this is the recommendation on the business process. And Lisa, would you like to do that presentation now?
Well, it's not a presentation, it's just an idea.
Share some information. And while she's doing that, I'm going to do this real quick for just a moment. And then Jeremy was able, or is able, to get us a copy of that document that Ann was speaking of. And we didn't want him to copy any more than what we need. So the question is, how many of you would like to have a paper copy of the document that Ann was talking about? I see 3, 4, 5.
It was share.
Paper. Which one?
Yeah,
Any ones you would like to have?
No, I guess that's it.
I'm still scrolling.
She's on page 7. Do you think if we just plug into it?
Yeah.
So can we do it electronically? I mean, if you do the website.
Certainly. Yes, I think Nancy has the link. Nancy has the link. So we can certainly get it to you electronically, but we can get paper copies. Paper. I see at least 4 or 5 paper. Let's make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I see 5. Let's go ahead and get at least 6 paper. 7 paper. 8 paper.
Sorry, Jane.
9 paper.
2 non-paper.
Yeah. You want to, I have one. I need to save it anyway, so.
Okay, well, I'm sorry, ready. I'm gonna.
History class. And then somebody said, and then there was a card reader that read the cards before, and my last project that I did was like,
Right.
$8.
Would you like the communication from Westwest?
What I want.
Would you like the email communication that has messaged?
That has the links and all of that.
Well, sure, yes. Oh, I thought it was like,
Well, but I have time.
Oh.
She has to make sure it goes to the right person.
On Friday last week, Jeremy sent me this link. So this is on DESIC's website, and it's House Bill 1490, work group process. And it gives their narrative, and then you come down to the bottom, and it gives math. So I'm going to click on math, this is kind of how I got a few of the names of those of you who are going to be here. And so then it gets the dates. So the dates have been posted for our work. Somewhere it gets all the dates. And then here it tells who is appointed, who the appointee is, and I'm probably going too fast, I apologize. But the information, and this is, and see, it gets room capacity, like our room has a maximum of 32 people. It's 20.
I'd like to see where.
It was pretty full with just when we got here.
And of course, then at the bottom, it has your facilitator, your taker, reporter, that chat. And they,
What did you put on when you were at Kelsey's website? Did you put administration or home or?
I would go to, is there college and career readiness?
No, I mean, same stuff along the top of what you got, the whole about the administration, the educators when I go to Yes.
Well, it says at the top, that it's college and career curriculum.
If you just Google HB 1490 work group processes, that.
Will it progress? Okay.
College careers, college-career readiness / curriculum /
I'll try to,
Okay. No way I've heard that either.
Yeah.
I realize, do you have a smart board software on your computer? On there, and just so you already pick your dates for the three public hearings?
I don't know the answer to that. The public hearing dates, let's see. We've got the timeline, designated chart.
And I don't think it was just
Well,
contact
the
somebody.
three dates are generally described in the bill, so it's, somewhere in a certain.
I mean, I think
This general
the
information.
legislative branch and somebody, I just don't know who that thought was.
But it's, she said that they have lots of dates, so I just wondered if this was.
Well, I think there are 6 dates. They have the work groups and they have the 6 dates.
The board of ed dates should be established. Or else we should set
I mean, it should be the state board date or something of the date, so. I was just wondering if
It's rolling through that, but it has a lot of great information. And I think it just came out on Friday. At least I just found it on Friday. I should say that. Our final slide is for really tomorrow. And it asks that at the end of each day that I collect notes. At the end of tomorrow, we would decide on the liaison. And then there will be reminder emails, October 2nd and 3rd.
Well, yet to be determined.
Yet to be determined, but at this moment, we have rooms reserved and schedules set for some of us. And then it's got location, time, and parking. So I'm just supposed to give those logistics is what I was asked to do, yes.
Why are you collecting our notes?
There's a process, not your anecdotal notes, but during the process, there is actually a sheet that asks that you look at the standards, the concerns. So there's kind of a process and a protocol set up for going through.
Don't we have somebody taking notes?
This is a little different. This is a sheet that we were sent ahead of time to us who work at the county. That you have said, hey, do you have concerns about any of the standards and what are your concerns?
So we're not usually.
No, better not, because I screwed them all over me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would just, it's. And I'll pass it.
So I don't throw them? Yeah.
On that website, we're getting additional meetings, CBD, on it. Those were,
The bill generally describes us 30 days after, 6 months after, that sort of thing,
and
so.
that's all I see.
This was
Can you pull that up a bit larger? Yeah, there's a Zoom, there's always a Zoom. No, on the computer. If you should be able to zoom that.
Scoot over to the left, it's a
67.6, you can change that percentage.
Maybe about 200. Okay, maybe just one larger than, center.
Okay, so.
Okay. Maybe you do it landscape instead of,
Just go through the 100 and have them done. Yeah, there we go.
okay.
I'm not used to PDFs. How do you close the bookmark? These things.
Needs a,
There's no little arrows up there, I think, like a little bookmark.
do you mind signing up, plus and minus?
There you go. Perfect.
Problem solving. You figure it out.
I'm used to working in smart board, smart. Do you guys use that too? Okay, so you'll know, this, I just converted it to a PDF. So just, I just thought it was kind of on the topic of perspective.
This is kind of like a little bit bigger and close it to the right also.
Your tactile will get it.
Yeah.
It's actually on the side.
Okay, thank you. I'm not learning how to use PDF today.
Maybe the 125.
Comfortable with, confirming that I haven't ever actually, tried to talk with it or anything. This has matrices in it for you guys who are math people. And I'm concerned about matrices in particular. I say on the slide that they didn't make the Common Core cut. And what I mean by that is that they have plus standards on them. But currently it's something that I teach in Algebra 2. And I was making this presentation on Friday. We had to, it was on adaptive reasoning. And we had the district PD section on the math and reasoning. And when educators use that term, they're probably referring to the definition that's in the book, adding it up. And so there's a lot of things included in that term. And so that's what I was preparing a lesson on. Plus, I'm teaching matrices right now in Algebra 2, except for today I'm here. And he made a comment in one of his recent papers that may have been offensive to some math teachers. And it's, it depends on how you interpret it, which depends on your perspective. So, I was talking to math teachers when I made this up. This is a snippet from his paper on a particular smarter balance question. Do you need that larger? I guess that's good enough. Yeah. And I don't know personally if this question is still in the text or not. I was just reading his paper and thinking about the question. And thinking about my assignment that was due Friday, which was on adaptive reasoning. And how much I was behind on lesson plans and everything else. So he states in here that the hidden assumption here is that the first several values of the function completely determine the function for all values. And he says that's absolutely not true. And, I understood why he was saying that, but I can understand why other people wouldn't understand why in the world he's calling me a liar or something, that's not the case at all. So I was investigating this problem and with matrices. So these are polynomials. We teach linear polynomials in Algebra 1, quadratic in Algebra 2. Some schools introduce it in Algebra 1, continuing in Algebra 2. Generally, polynomials can have any degree. These have up to degree 4. Okay. So I was using this 4th degree polynomial to investigate the problem, and I realized that this just says pretty much what I just said. But I did use some other concepts on this that we do not teach in Algebra 2 right now at my school. I may at other schools, but so the problem, what seems to be a minor error in the wording of this problem right here, that it was not stated formally that they were talking about a function, a linear function, I mean. What seems to be a minor error to some people may not be to others, because there's actually an infinite number of polynomials that go through those 4 points. And so the simplest case that you could use to explain that would be to use a 4th degree polynomial, which has 5 numbers in it. So this 4th degree polynomial, which has 5 coefficients in it, is what I used to demonstrate this idea that there's actually an infinity of polynomials that go through those 4 data points. So it's really, and I think this is the issue that people argue about. I thought about it for a long time. In elementary schools, We do a lot of activities with pattern recognition. The kids enjoy them. They're fun. And then you transition to explaining patterns with equations and then with functions. So, but pattern recognition is not the mathematics. That's the thing that's used. That we're building on them. And my concern as a teacher is that, all math teachers that I know personally know this content, and but I'm afraid sometimes we're just not given time to think about it, and really reflect on the practices that we're using. And we all want them to be good practices and help children learn. So the little globe there is a link in the SmartWork file. It's a link to a book called Becoming a Reflective Teacher, and I just really enjoyed that book. And we're just wondering what that little globe is. So what I did was I built two matrices, or just constructed them out of the ordered pairs that were in that problem. The ordered pairs were 3 and 10, 4 and 13, 5 and 16. Those were the values that were given. And I added a fifth one with the 7 and the 24 because I was trying to make a shape on a graph that would go through those 4 points and not be linear. It wouldn't look like a line. And so that's what I was thinking about. So, and then in our classroom, we use TI calculators at Francis Howe, and we do a lot of work with matrices prior to introducing the calculator, and then a separate thing is teaching the students to use the technology with the calculator to expand on the ideas, because typically when we would work with a 2x2 matrix for 2 linear equations, those are just a smaller group of polynomials. So typically we would have them do this work by hand and then introduce the calculator after they understand what the nature of an inverse is, an inverse function with a little -1 sign. And then once they're able to understand that you can generalize that idea, the technology becomes a very powerful tool. And so you can take a much larger square matrix. I use this matrix. This is really a polynomial in base 3. 3 here is the first term. These are the x's and the y's. And then to fit this equation, so that's a 1, a 3, the x squared, that would be 3 squared, 3 to the third, 3 to the fourth. Then I just generated that in the same idea with these coefficients. Remember, these were at first just the x values of a point. So, and then the y values are in this other matrix over here. So you can write that matrix equation if you understand matrix multiplication. And I in the actual Power Notebook software, I linked to a really nice video on Khan Academy on matrix multiplication. So if you're not aware of what that is. So this matrix, when you take the inverse of this matrix and multiply it by that matrix, which is going to give you this result for these coefficients and the polynomial amounts, what it generates is that red line, that red graph. I want to say a line, but it's not a linear function, so you're not sure who your audience is when you use these terms. So I took these numbers that resulted, and I wrote them out as a function, and that's the actual function that I entered into the calculator when I was generating the graph. So it was just an exercise. Look it up, share with my friends, and now it's my work group. I did it again by changing one number, just by changing that last order here from 724 to 715, which would change this number right here in the matrix. You get a totally different graph, and it's the green one. That's all I know that resulted from the process. So it's just that's just a math exercise. But it kind of demonstrates better, I think, or in a concrete way, why the professor would make such a, make that statement, which some people might regard that as rude. I don't think he was being rude at all. I think he was, saying what he had, saying what he felt about the problem. That's all I wanted to say. Another thing on perspective, because it really depends on your perspective, and I'm so glad we're all here with our different perspectives. If you were very, let's say in my classroom, let's say I'm a teacher in my classroom, and, maybe I'm a little point on the graph somewhere. It's really hard to see what's going on down the road. You guys who are familiar with fractals understand that self-replicating nature. It's, making assumptions about data are, you just have to be very cautious and understand well, I can't make any other statement on that.
Is some of the point you're making here that there are some key just concepts that we're not necessarily covering with the kids in the early grades, which makes teaching what you're trying to do at your level so much harder? And if we could do that, the technology would
I don't. That's a very huge generalization. I just think.
I think the lesson is what you know that isn't so, and you should control.
Yes, sometimes. Right. And sometimes when you receive information, it may not be comfortable. It may not be comfortable, and I think just I just was trying to understand the problem.
Well, and there's other examples that are analogous to the one some of them are simpler. And the real danger is that it's time for us to look at this and go, that doesn't sound right to me. Let me check this out. And we can sort of figure out what it doesn't say or implies is wrong, or what it does say is wrong. But for kids, they look at it, and we have one experience like that with one of my kids who came home and she said, Mom, I don't get it. You mean when you're approximating a square root with your hand, the third digit is always a 5? That's what the teacher taught her. And it brought me up short, and I was like, yeah, I think that's right. Maybe 10% of the time, but it's definitely not always a 5. And so kids, smart kids, and meanwhile, other kids in her class were just, okay, yeah, it's always 5, so you round up. We're not helping kids by making things complicated that, teachers can barely understand. So I think that's, and I'm not talking about me, that's not very helpful, but, but there's other stuff in the class back class questions that are just wrong. And I didn't mention it. I did this teacher ambassador program has that. And my role is to ask the hard questions. And SBAC doesn't really answer them, but what gets uncovered as a result is that they have gotten a ton of problems with their questions. And they're still on their website, and I get answers by, thank you for pointing that out. Maybe your answer will turn out to be correct. Sorry, that your answer's wrong, mine's right, and there's no question about this. But they don't, it is amateur city. Tired students.
I think if you go and look at those tests, you're going to find things that are not correct.
I don't have that experience with the ACT though. They put questions online for people who
I have in my National Baccalaureate Act, and I had questions that were incorrect. And they went through multiple reviews. Okay, and so yes, it does happen. And I think there probably are some examples that are not value examples, just that are not really good examples, just as there were when we first started writing our own questions within the state of Missouri when the math test came out. There were problems with the way the questions were written, there were problems with the scoring guides, and there always are going to be some problems and issues. And so to say, and I understand what you're saying, but I'm not looking at the test and aspect, because I think that's not our goal here. I think our goal is to look at standards that we think are important in the state of Missouri that we want, because whether SBAC is a good item or not.
And I'm kind of like that, Kathy, and I just want to come back and say, that remember the old saying, an error is not a mistake until you refuse to correct it. And so if you do find, that that's happening, and as I found, then that's some pretty bad stuff. So
I reviewed over 800 items this summer at the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade level for Smarter Balanced Assessment Consortium. The point was to review the content to make sure the correct answer was there and point up discrepancies. And I can say that some of them were corrected because they came back to me for a second review. Did I get all of them back? No. But they too were under a time, my contract may have run out with them before they got them all corrected. So as with anybody, I know it's a process of wanting to do what's right and making the corrections. And I do think it's our job to point out or to at least let them know.
And if there's something wrong with it, I think any testing company would want to know that.
Well, their response to me was, well, we're going to wait and see what the field has to say about this, and maybe it'll turn out that your answer is right. But this is simple. This is a 6th grade problem, and I hear it with the 30-minute test in Missouri. The 6th grader is going to put my answer down, have it counted wrong, and then you have to compare adaptive character of it. They're going to get easier questions after that, and then you don't have a balanced score.
And again, I don't think this is about.
And
so I think this is about standards, not about.
To a certain extent it is, because if you don't have a way to test to that standard, how do you know?
Eventually, yes, I agree.
Okay.
But I think right
So,
now, our.
but you have that in the back of our minds, in terms of how.
Can the standards,
support it.
because there are standards that are not testable that you can't really assess. So when we really talk about. You
Well, it says on paper, you
Right.
can't assess it
In the classroom, right. So, and that is the way, that's been going on for quite a period of time. So we have to look at what standards, what things are accessible, clear language so that everybody understands what we need and what we want our kids to know and be able to do. So I think just looking at the SBAC assessment is, I think, okay for us to talk about it a little bit, but that's not really the focus is here. I think really the focus is to write standards, to look at standards and write standards that are accessible. And I don't disagree with you, but sometimes those assessments might be given to the autonomy. Is it assessed in the classroom? Is that something that we feel is important that they're going to assess in the classroom? Is it on a high stakes state level test? Because I know the point she was bringing up about matrices. I taught matrices in algebra 2 all the time as well. I'm not so sure that was something that would have been on a state test. Okay, but did I use it as a tool? Yes, because that's my tool that I can use within the context of my classroom to teach different things. So I have that opportunity to use that as a tool or another way of doing it if it's specifically going to test or not test matrices. No, and do I really, I don't know if I care whether they specifically test matrices. I care that they test that they can solve problems through specific methods, and then you have different methodologies to do that.
Is it appropriate then, and we design the standards to say these will be standardized assessed standards, and these are ones that you're expected to assess on your own in your classroom?
We currently,
That's what the GLEs do.
that's what we currently have.
The GLEs and the CLEs, that's the way that they were designed. In some cases, they will look, some of them
That's
are
interesting.
some of them are supposed to be local.
The version 2.0,
Yes, yes.
I think a really similar question too. I was listening to that recent webinar in the case of Zippo did, and one of the points that with response to a question was about, I think it was about some of these what I would have thought of as intervention strategies. Are you the way it reads like you have to do all these strategies with all kids, and he was saying, no, that's not right. And if that's not right, then how do we let the teachers know that that's really what's going on? Because I guarantee people are reading that and going, okay, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. And so, without getting, again, too far out of things we don't have to look at, but just that as a guiding principle for, what we are doing. I mean, there's what we think the standards should be. And then there's making sure that, that we are good communicators, back to that old, most important skill, that everybody needs to have, that we are able to communicate that through the way that the standards that we write are written so that teachers do understand, this is just a suggestion, this is a, something that's, mandatory, and kind of whatever's in between. But I just think that that should be clear instead of, you have to do this by this method, and then, you have a kid who's, doing problems her own way, and then she has to do them some other different way, and it's just busy work for her. And I think that's, so I offer that up again, just as a, kind of a guiding principle in how you're setting things up is how do you choose between if you're going to do, if you're going to include, matrices and, at what depth, if that's going to be optional or, if it's, or if it's not, and what, and then trying to set that up so that, so that people know, what they have the freedom to do and what they're going. And I think sometimes, those of us at the high end of high school, we have a lot more freedom, I think, in some ways. Because we do have things that, kids should know, and so that we can show them these other things, and sometimes I'm not sure, and we have the ability to do that, but I'm not sure, that, teachers just reading this, and, what am I really supposed to be doing here, so I just think that's an important consideration for us.
We're at a, I'm sorry, at this moment, what I would like to suggest is that we take a break for lunch. That way we meet the 12 o'clock group. You should have your lunch card. And then when we come back, I would like to walk you through the protocol that is being presented to me, and I would like to show it to you and have us talk about the protocol for reviewing. You can always say no, but it would be better if we at least look at it. Let's take a look at the protocol, a look at the standards, and kind of a game plan, and then we can have discussion, make modifications. So let's do that after a good break, a good lunch. It was suggested that we bring our lunch back here, eat lunch together. That is your decision, but we'll start back at, let's say, 12:10. Is that enough time? 12:10?
Where's the place where?
Great question. You have your lunch card right out here on the sidewalk. We go down to the Jefferson Building, and the Jefferson Building's the one with the big bear in front of it. It's right down this hill, and there's a cafeteria. It's a heritage cafeteria. You go in the door, the cafeteria's on your right. And it won't get busy. We will get there a little ahead of the busy time. You're welcome to bring your lunch back. We can use lunch together.
Is this a secure building? Can we leave our stuff here?
Yes, we can leave our stuff here, and we'll try to leave one person here. I don't know.
If you need who's not getting your knees down those steps.
We can leave one person here.
We need somebody to bring us up back.
No, I'm gonna go right over there, they have delicious food right there, and I don't mind paying for my own. But thank you so much.
They give us 40 minutes? Yes, ma'am.
I was just looking for a scattering board on the cafeteria.